Russian President Vladimir Putin hails Prime Minister Modi. He says Modi's turn on protecting national interest. Prime Minister Modi is not intimidated by external pressure. Modi is not scared to take tough decisions. Let's listen in to what Vladimir Putin has said about Prime Minister Modi, heaping praises on him, saying he's turned on protecting national interests. He doesn't come under any sort of external pressure. He's not intimidated by external pressure, and he's not scared to take any tough decisions. He decides only in national interest. My colleague Gaurav Sawant is joining me over the phone line right now. Vladimir Putin there, Gaurav, heaping praises on Prime Minister Modi. We've seen this in the case of course, the Russia-Ukraine war, where India kept its own self-interest and national interest first, because we have to cater to 1 billion plus people. And that is what Putin says, that Modi doesn't come under any kind of external pressure. He's not intimidated by external pressure. He thinks about his people, he thinks about national interest, and he takes strong and tough decisions.
You're absolutely right. These are strong words from the Russian President Vladimir Putin when he heaps praises on Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And he said that he's aware of the pressures that Prime Minister Narendra Modi was under when it comes to the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Remember, there was pressure on India not to buy the S-400 systems, a very crucial air defense system that India needed to buy. There were threats of putting sanctions on India in case India went ahead with the S-400 system. So there was tremendous pressure. India withstood that pressure and bought the S-400 system because it was of tremendous importance to India's national security. Then again, when the Russia-Ukraine war started, there was pressure on India not to buy cheap oil from Russia and look for more expensive alternatives from the Middle East, but that would also jack up prices, as External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has repeatedly said. India continued to buy oil from Russia, and as the government of India says, that was one way of ensuring that international prices were also kept down. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi, under tremendous pressure from the United States, from the European countries, all that virtue signaling that was done by European countries who were buying cheaper oil from Russia themselves and then trying to force India not to buy Russian oil. India withstood that pressure under national interest and ensured that India's national interest was kept supreme. Then again, Polami, you'd realize that this Gurpatwant Singh Pannu incident, where America is shielding a terrorist just because he's a U.S. citizen, again is pressure tactics being mounted by America to wean India away from the Russian camp. And India, once again, withstanding all that pressure, keeping Indian national interest supreme.
Right. Gaurav, just stay on for a moment. Let's listen in first to what Russian President Vladimir Putin said.
Well, let me say that the relations between Russia and India are consistently developing in all the areas, and the main guarantor for that is the policy led by Prime Minister Modi. His Excellency is one of the politicians of the global scale that I was talking about previously, without giving the names. I cannot imagine His Excellency Modi getting intimidated or being forced to take any steps or actions that would go against the national interests of India and the people of India. And there is pressure against him, I am aware of that.
So that is, of course, what Russian President Vladimir Putin said. Gaurav Sawant continues to be over the phone line with us. Gaurav, we saw this, as you were mentioning, in the case of the Russia-Ukraine war and the purchase of oil from Russia. There was enough pressure from the world, from the Western nations, especially from Europe, from America. But India said it is going to put national interest first and did call out US and Europe specifically as far as their own hypocrisy was concerned.
Absolutely. So the Western hypocrisy and double standards, all buying oil from Russia at much cheaper rates and forcing India not to do so, trying to force India not to do so. So that was the pressure that Prime Minister Narendra Modi was under, and he withstood that pressure. Again, when it comes to military hardware, defense hardware, you'd recall that India was under tremendous pressure, including threat of sanctions that were put on India, that if India went ahead with the S-400 systems, there would be sanctions against India, and further military cooperation would be in jeopardy. Again, India, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his team, they held their ground and said S-400 systems are crucial for India's national security. India also exposed Western hypocrisy that the West was actually arming a terror state, Pakistan, including with F-16s, and servicing those F-16s, giving them upgrades on F-16s, whereas Pakistan was spreading terror, and they were expecting India not to buy better military hardware for India's protection and security. So all of these things have actually exposed the Western hypocrisy, and India has been able to withstand the Western double standards,
right,
as India continues to do so in the Gurpatwant Singh Pannu case, where America is actually shielding a terrorist policy.
Right. Gaurav, just stay on with us. Mr. Udit Raj, Congress leader, is joining us over the phone line right now. Udit ji, आपका क्या कहना है? Vladimir Putin का कहना है कि Modi does not come under any external pressure. Prime Minister Modi जो है सिर्फ national interest के बारे में सोचते हैं और उसी के हिसाब से strong, tough decisions लेते हैं. किसी international pressure में कभी नहीं आते हैं.
See, no Prime Minister of India had come under pressure of anyone.
Right.
And what to talk about this is, Mrs. Indira Gandhi tore Pakistan into two parts, and despite the fact that America had not only threatened also, but started adding arms. So, where is the question that Modi cannot be terrorized, pressurized? So no Prime Minister of India was under pressurized. So, and secondly, that it is his gesture. If he has shown his gesture to the Prime Minister of India, then it's good for our country. So what happened that, but what Putin is doing at his home front, everybody knows it. And how the oligarchs are, through oligarchs is ruling the country. That is also there. But however, it's a gesture shown by him. So that's okay. And that's good that he has shown good gesture to Prime Minister of India.
So you seem to be welcoming it. The Congress seems to be welcoming it. Mr. Udit Raj, just on the line with us, Manjinder Singh Sirsa is also joining us at the moment. Manjinder ji, Vladimir Putin का कहना कि नरेंद्र मोदी किसी भी प्रेशर में नहीं आते हैं, किसी एक्सटर्नल इंटरनेशनल ग्लोबल प्रेशर में आके काम नहीं करते हैं. वो जो डिसीजन लेते हैं, चाहे वो रशियन ऑयल खरीदना हो या रशियन हार्डवेयर खरीदना हो, मिलिट्री हार्डवेयर खरीदना हो, वो डिसीजन जो है नेशनल इंटरेस्ट में लेते हैं, ना कि किसी वेस्टर्न नेशन के प्रेशर में.
देखिए, उन्होंने दूसरी बात गारंटी की भी करी. आज पूरी दुनिया को ये पता चल गया कि भारत के प्रधानमंत्री की ताकत क्या है, भारत के प्रधानमंत्री की बात की गारंटी क्या है. आज देश के लोग नहीं, आज दुनिया के राष्ट्रपति और वो भी वन ऑफ द मोस्ट पावरफुल प्रेसिडेंट्स अक्रॉस द वर्ल्ड आज ये बोल रहे हैं कि भारत का प्रधानमंत्री किसी के प्रेशर में नहीं आता. इससे आप कल्पना कीजिए हमारा भारत ने कहां से कहां तक पहुंचा है. इस देश ने क्या हासिल किया है. एक बार सांप सपेरों वाला मुल्क कहा जाता था और आज एक ताकतवर मुल्क इतना ताकतवर कहा जाता है कि पुतिन जैसे राष्ट्रपति भी ये कहते हैं कि भारत का प्रधानमंत्री किसी एक्सटर्नल प्रेशर में नहीं आता और भारत के प्रधानमंत्री की गारंटी का मतलब गारंटी है, उनके और रशिया के संबंधों की गारंटी का मतलब गारंटी. तो आप देखिए, कल्पना करिए. और मुझे लगता है कि क्यों संभव हुआ. देश के 140 करोड़ लोगों ने जो भारत के प्रधानमंत्री जी को मौका दिया और उन्होंने उस मौके को दुनिया के आगे इस तरह से रखा कि आज पूरी दुनिया उनके आगे झुकने लगी है, भारत के आगे झुकने लगी है. भारत के उदय का एक बहुत बड़ा सूरज यहाँ उदय हो रहा है. ये एक बहुत बड़ी निशानी है कि अगला समा जो है वो भारत का ही है. ये पूरी शताब्दी भारत की होने वाली है. ये बातें दर्शाती.
जी सिरसा जी, शुक्रिया इंडिया टुडे से बात करने के लिए. गौरव सावंत continues to be live with us as well. That's huge praise, Gaurav, of course, coming from Russian President Vladimir Putin. This just goes to show, as far as the global ecosystem is concerned, India's position right now in that world order. How India has taken decisions in its national interest, how India has positioned itself as a country that thinks independently, thinks in national interest, and comes under no external pressure, is not with one bloc or the other bloc, thinks in its own interest, and also in that way that it takes that stance, guides others as well.
Paulami, you cover foreign policy and you look at foreign policy very closely. You're absolutely right. India is not non-aligned. India is multi-aligned, keeping Indian national interests first. Point one. Point two, India is truly emerging as the voice of the developing world. India is the voice of the global south. And it's not just these developing countries in the region, but almost across the world. And that was seen not by words, but by action when vaccines were required by the entire world after COVID-19. The Western countries were hoarding vaccines. India was sharing vaccines. There are prime ministers of countries who've touched Prime Minister Narendra Modi's feet because India saved lives, not just in India, but across the world. So this shows that it's not Indian words, but Indian action that saves lives. And Maldives was in trouble, irrespective of who's in power there today or what their politics may be today. But when Maldives was in trouble, they didn't have water to drink. Indian Navy ships went and provided water. When security is required anyway. Sri Lanka, for example, when their economy was in tailspin, India came out and helped Maldives. All across the region, India is helping people. So that shows India, the power of India's foreign policy. And President Putin referred to it, that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is a very well-respected global leader at this stage. His voice is heard. We've seen that in India's G20 presidency. There may have been acrimony on many issues, but when a document came out, it was a unanimous document for the world to benefit from. That's the point that President Putin is trying to make here.